Good morning, everybody. I'm Dick Wagner with the Crest Network, your Tuesday morning webinar. Last month, I presented part one of the two-part series on sales differentiation. I want to just revisit the uh, some of the key points that we talked about last month so that there's a nice flow into the remainder of what we're going to talk about today. But last month, we talked about salespeople that go in and talk to their client and say our company is the best, or our people are the best, or our equipment is the best. And some of them even get into saying that their processes are the best. And the fact of the matter is, you can't say you're the best. Only your client can say it with any credibility. If you say you're the best, there isn't any credibility. But when you can do the things necessary to get your client, your prospect, your customer to say that you're the best, now you've hit the home run. Also, salespeople, so many times, and I've been told this many, many times, the salespeople believe that when they're in front of their customer and they're saying we are the best, our people are the best, our company, our restoration company is the absolute best there is in the community, they think they're building a strong sales position, but they're not. They're damaging their credibility. They are not endearing themselves to their customer. And of course, if you think about it, no salesperson ever went in to talk with, or on the phone, talked with one of their clients or prospective clients and said, "Yeah, we're average. Yeah, we're pretty good. Yeah, no, we're the typical restoration company. No, we're standard. We're similar to the yellow guys or the green guys." Nobody ever says that. Why? Because why would we want to brag about being mediocre? And then one other thing that I talked about last month that I think is very significant. It's part of the concept of flipping the script. In fact, there is a video on the website, on the Crest Network's website, in the members area that talks about flipping the script. In other words, not going in and saying the same old that you do and that every other marketer does. And and by flipping the script, you gain differentiation. One of the phrases or ways that I like to approach a client is, and I think you should memorize this or go back to this video, that first video, and actually write it down and commit it to memory. But I think you ought to say to your client when you first meet with them, look, I'm not going to tell you our service is the best because I'm sure every other salesperson tells you that. So, what I like to do today is I'll tell you some of the differences in our services that our clients find valuable, and then you can decide for yourself. That I think is pretty significant in changing the script, flipping the script, telling your prospect or your client that you're not like all of the other happy marketers that come in and out of that door. So let's dive into Part 2. Sales differentiation, as I said on the first video, it is critical to your success, because if you're the same as everybody else, then you've got nothing special. When your services and when your processes are similar to your competitors, you've got nothing special. There is no compelling reason that they should do business with you and not the other guy, because there's nothing really to separate the two of you. It's kind of like a whole street full of taxi cabs. Does it really matter which one you get in? They're all the same. And it's really important that you understand that your processes and your services are always going to be somewhat similar to your competitors. You all remove water from clients' properties. You all use air movers. You all use dehumidifiers. Many times in a larger loss, you're using a trailer mounted desiccant. It's really important that you flip the script and you change up what they're expecting to hear. You see, you can't easily change the features or the functions or the things that your particular services do, because they're all going to be the same, pretty much from contractor to contractor to contractor. In fact, you pretty much all use all of the same equipment. Maybe you go about it in a slightly different way, but essentially you're the same. But you can change, and it's pretty much the only thing you really can change, and that is how you sell. Or if you want to insert the word, how you market to your client. We're using the word sales and marketing interchangeably here, although there is a slight difference that we could talk about in another video. If you don't already have a relationship, even a soft, loose relationship, even a slightly distant relationship, if you don't have that already, it's quite a challenge to get in front of the decision maker or the decision influencer. You better have a compelling reason why they would want to talk with you. And one of the very best ways you can do that is that process of flipping the script. I hope that all of you watching this video will sometime today or tonight go back into the Crest Network's members side and find that video on flipping the script. It's short, it's 8 or 9, 10 minutes long, but it really punches between the eyes and really explains how you can easily be different than your competitor. Typically, salespeople say, I want to meet with you. I want to learn about your business. I want. They're two terrible words. As a salesperson or as a marketer, when you're talking with a prospect or a client or a customer and you say, I want, what it's telling them is that it's all about you. It only matters to you. What Dick Wagner wants, what John wants, what Bob wants, what Mary wants. The marketer is saying, it's all about me, the marketer. Get the words I want out of your vocabulary when you're engaged with and talking with a prospect or a client. They're terrible, and they're focused on you, and you should not be focusing on yourself. Remember, I've said this a million times. Okay, not a million, 1,000 times. It's not about you. It's about them. A far better way, instead of I want, is to start out with, we help clients learn about our special customer care program. We help clients learn about our commercial pre-disaster program, the PREP program. We help clients learn about our products and why those products are important to our clients. And the same thing with services. And I even like to add into my short interaction with the client when I'm first meeting them and say very specifically, I'd like to show you about our services, and I'm only going to take 9 short minutes, or 7 short minutes, or 5 short minutes. Whatever and you've practiced this, whatever number of minutes you can do that in, that's what you should tell them. We're all willing, if I said to you, okay, guys, I'm going to just give you a 5-minute explanation. Most all of us are going to say, okay, all right, well, I guess I can suffer through this for 5 minutes, or 6 or 9 or whatever. And it's one of the reasons why, if you look on LinkedIn, and all of the articles that are posted, LinkedIn's algorithm calculates how long it would take the average person to read an article. And on every single article, they put right at the beginning of it, 4-minute read, 7-minute read, 3-minute read, whatever it is. And that way it incentivizes and motivates people to read, because they know it's only going to consume X number of minutes. This incentivizes people to give you 6 or 8 or 9 or 11 minutes, because you've made a very clear, precise request, and they know that they aren't going to have to suffer through or tolerate or listen for longer than a very certain number of specific minutes. There's also something else that comes into play. It's probably one of my hot buttons. It's one of those things that I think is important, and I work very hard to make sure that I'm following my own advice. There is a difference in what a customer is versus what a vendor is versus what a client is. You think of that person that you are extracting water for, that homeowner. You might think of them as a customer, because it's somewhat of a transactional process. It's a sale. It's usually and often a one-time deal. They often think of you as a vendor or a contractor. But let's go to the other end of the scale. You're dealing with plumbers and you're dealing with insurance agents. You should be thinking of those plumbers and those insurance agents as clients. They're not customers. It's not a transactional situation. They're a client. And there's a very specific reason why, in your mind, and in speaking to them about the fact that they are a client, there's a very important factor that comes into play. They're probably, just like the customer, going to think of you as a vendor, but you should be thinking of them as a client. And if you view them differently, you will act differently and it'll have a different impact on that client or on that customer. In the case of the client, the dictionary includes in the definition, in the word client, under the protection of another. Under the protection of another. A great statement made by a salesperson to their potential client is this: we at XYZ Restoration recognize the importance of the services that we provide. We recognize the impact that we can have on your business recovery. We recognize and appreciate the trust that our clients place in us. When the salesman uses the word client, it elevates and puts that person, that agent, that plumber, or that commercial end user in a whole different category. They are elevated, they feel elevated, and they feel special, they feel unique, they feel that you're treating them better and different than a customer. The customer, remember, is simply transactional. Let's think about this for just a second. Who knows more about the services and the solutions that your restoration company provides? Who knows more? You or your client? I hope you answered, at least in your head, that you know more about your services and you know more about the solutions that you can bring to your client. You do, not your client. So you need to convey that. You're not conveying that you know more. What you're conveying is you understand what their needs and situation is, and you can bring those solutions to the client and help them get back on the road to recovery. Another key factor: what is the destination or the end game? What is the place where you're trying to get to? And if you don't know what your destination is, what you're trying to achieve, then you'll never know if you've actually arrived. So it's really important before you, let's say, before you walk into an insurance agent's office, you ought to already have in your head what you plan to accomplish on that visit. If you're going to call them on the phone, you should have in your head exactly what your destination is, what you plan to achieve on that phone call. And because if you don't, then you aren't going to know whether you were successful or not. You're going to hang up that phone, you're going to write some notes in a CRM, and it's not going to be clear what you actually achieved in that phone call or in that visit. So some of the destination questions that should be asked in order to know whether or not you arrived at the destination, whether you achieved what you were trying to achieve, you should be asking, if let's say that you're going to be doing a presentation, you're asking that decision maker or decision influencer, who will be involved in making a decision like this? You should be confirming the next scheduled meeting. You're in front of an insurance agent, you had a nice chat, and before you leave, you should be saying, I will see you next month. I usually come and visit every 4 weeks. Usually I visit on Tuesdays. Will that be okay? Is that a good day? Is Tuesday a good day? It isn't a locked in specific appointment, which I encourage, but when you're stretching it out a month and you're visiting your agents or your plumbers on a quote unquote route, um, that's an acceptable confirmation. If you're presenting a pre-disaster program to them, you should be asking them, if they have not made the decision right then and there, when will they be making that decision? How many of you call on an agent or call on a plumber and absolutely know what the corporate or business goals are of that plumber or that property and casualty agent? How many of you really know that and have those notes in your CRM? How many of you even know what the personal goals are of the particular technician or agent or customer service rep at the agency? How many of you know what their personal goals are? How do you speak to them personally and effectively from a business standpoint if you don't know those goals and you haven't identified them and put them in writing in your CRM? Additional destination questions. You should be getting referrals. And I even have a video about the concept of referrals, and I prefer that you don't ask for just referrals, that you ask for introductions to other possible clients. What have you done to establish trust with that agent or plumber or commercial property manager? What have you done to establish your own credibility? Have you clearly identified your differentiators? Are you providing meaningful value in your offer? That really might apply to when your offer might be to sign them up for a commercial prep program. Agreement signed and mapping scheduled really applies to when you sign up a commercial client to the prep program. And have you confirmed and completed the mapping of the facility? We recommend Matterport. And have you implemented the process? That's pretty important to the whole thing. Status quo disruptors or interrupters. Status quo is what they're doing now. Status quo means if they're doing nothing, that is status quo. If they are working with your competitor, that is status quo. Look up the definition of status quo. You need to deliver to them disruptors, things that shake them out of status quo. You really need to engage in some positioning questions. Those differentiator questions need to be relevant to the decision influencer that you're talking with. They need to be designed to get you and to get them to a specific destination. Go back a couple slides to what I said. You should have a destination or an end result in mind, and you should be able to identify that both you and the client have arrived or are well on their way toward that destination. It's really critical that you help your client think differently about the pain that they're dealing with, or the headache that they're dealing with, or the challenge or the struggle that is their top priority in business, the better you can help them think differently, and you can offer solutions that get them closer to their destination or the end result you're trying to achieve. That's where you start having significant and consistent success. I'm also a big believer in using insulators. I grew up in an electrical family. My father was an electrician. I think of the word, and have for a long time, that an insulator is something that protects you from getting a shock. Well, think of an insulator or a portion of an insulator comment prior to asking a brutal question. Think of the insulator as a way to reduce the shock of your prospect. So you've got to ask them a tough question. Maybe the tough question is, are you going to refer me on losses? Well, that's kind of a shocker. That's kind of blunt. And although some of you that I work with can pull that off, not everybody can. And so an ideal insulator, before you ask that shocking question, is to soften the question with an insulator statement such as, I don't know if this would make sense to you, but, or just out of curiosity, are you willing to refer us on water losses? Now, when you say just out of curiosity, it insulates or softens that tough, hardcore question. Or maybe you're going to ask that insurance agent if they're willing to refer their clients to you when they have a claim. A great way to insulate that kind of blunt question is, I'm not quite sure how to phrase this, but are you willing to refer your policyholders to us when they have a loss? The I'm not quite sure how to phrase this significantly softens down the question, and they're not as offended. It's not like getting punched in the face when you ask the question. And so get in the routine of softening tough questions by adding an insulator before the question. And then you want to really help soften the question, add an insulator after you have asked the question also. Ask one before and build the insulator into your question. And then after you've asked the question, you can say something like, well, the reason I asked was because I don't want to continue to waste your time, or which is why I was asking this question, so that we can bring really good value to your client. Or maybe you ask the insulator, or you say the insulator before, and then you ask the tough question, are you willing to send us losses? Not to put you on the spot, of course. You see, the insulator before and the insulator after a tough question makes it a whole lot easier to ask. It's easier for you to feel more comfortable asking the question, and absolutely makes your client more comfortable when they've been asked that kind of a question. You see, it's not what salespeople say to their buyers, It's what they ask of buyers. Saying is making a statement. And in reality, nobody, not you or me or your client, likes to be told something. My grandkids don't like to be told what to do. They like to be asked, at least the older ones that understand that concept. The 5-year-old grandson, yeah, you got to tell him, because you know how kids are at 5 years old. But my 14-year-old granddaughter, it's okay to ask her and even give her a couple options. But for you to have sales differentiation, when you're trying to establish sales differentiation, it gives you the opportunity to shape the buyer decision criteria by asking the right questions. By asking the right questions, it also enables you to throw a monkey wrench into or disrupt their normal or usual buying process. That puts you in the driver's seat. Also, and this is a challenging slide to convey to you, but if you're calling on, and I'm just going to pick one, insurance agents. If you're calling on 100 insurance agents a month, it's called a vertical. An insurance agency is part of a vertical. The vertical is insurance agents. If it's plumbers, it's the plumber vertical. If it's hotels, it's a hotel vertical. If you're calling on the same vertical and you're calling on the same kind of decision influencer, let's say it's the producer, the insurance agent in the office, you know, or you have a pretty good idea that each one of those insurance agents and each one of those influencers at that agency all have the same 3 or 4 or 5 headaches or concerns or issues. They all deal with the very same thing. I talk with restoration contractors all day, every day. I mean, many of them a week. And they all tell me the same 5 or 6 headaches. They tell me it's hard to keep technicians. They tell me it's always a challenge to make sure that the marketers are being accountable to the company and to themselves. They tell me that it's always difficult to deal with an insurance adjuster. And I can go on, but there are always a half a dozen headaches. They are the same day in and day out with every restoration contractor I talk with. And so the same 5 or 6 issues with hotels, they're all the same. The same headaches are the same, or the headaches are the same. I have 5 or 6 or 7 of them with every insurance company or every plumber. And because we know this, you should bring up those headaches before they do. When you bring them up first, it tells them that you're being proactive, not reactive. It tells them that you're knowledgeable, that you're credible, that you're aware of their particular headaches and situation and struggles and challenges. It gives you credibility, and they are far more inclined to hear you out to listen to you because you bring up those headaches before they bring them up. An insurance agent might tell you, and here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them that you probably hear a lot when you're calling on insurance agents. We don't get involved in claims. I've never heard of your company. This is not a priority for us right now. I'm sorry, but I just don't have the authority. Oh, well, we're really happy with the vendor we're working with now. Oh, bad news. I'm so sorry. We're not allowed to refer contractors. I just don't have the time to talk with you right now. These are 7. I'm sure you can add 2 or 3 or 4 more, but you know repeatedly, over and over and over again, that when you're calling on an insurance agent, these are the standard headaches or baloney that they're saying to you. And since you know that ahead of time, preempt it. Be proactive and state that. Look, this may not be your priority right now, and I understand that. Could I schedule 10 minutes with you next Tuesday at 2 o'clock? I don't know if you have the authority to refer jobs to us. What you just did there is you just told them, hey, I understand sometimes there's authority required in order to refer a job to us. And do you have that authority? And most of them are going to want to say, well, of course I have that authority. And the minute they say, of course I have that authority, they're pretty much saying to you that yes, they will refer you, or else they're going to say, and no, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to refer you. But now at least you know. There's no gray area, there's no wondering. And you can then effectively take them off your route list. If they absolutely have the authority to refer you, but they are not allowed to refer you, really, what's the point of visiting them month after month after month? They're not going to send you work. Let's not forget that sales differentiation is simply a moment in time. Being different, delivering differentiation, being special, unique, not like your competitor. When I say it's a moment in time and that it's not a permanent state, remember, your competitors catch on. And so suddenly your differentiator is no longer different. As soon as some of your competitors are doing what you've been doing to differentiate yourself, it's no longer different for you. And you have to continually change it up. You have to continually be thinking of new and different ways to deliver your special differentiation. It's one of the reasons why I've worked with marketers, the same marketers with the same company for years, because often one of the coaching steps is to continually help that marketer to reinvent themselves, to continually change their differentiation to stay ahead of their competitors. One of the things that does not get old, and one of the things that for 10 years has been the single hottest part of helping marketers achieve differentiation is Maven articles. I've talked with every single one of you about this, and yes, I have had resistance. Some of you try to find 50 ways to leave your lover. Some of you try to find ways to not use a Maven article every single time on every single visit. Some of you choose to not attach a Maven article on every single email that you send to your clients. But you should, because it is the single best differentiator that exists out there that nobody else in your community is doing. If there are 100 competitors in your community, I feel very safe and confident in saying that you are the only one delivering not just Maven articles, which are from a huge library on the Crest Network, but delivering anything resembling a Maven article. Nobody gets it. Nobody understands it. Salespeople and marketers don't understand that it's not about themselves, but it's about the client. And Maven articles are about the client. There are tons of them, hundreds of them on the Crest Network's members side of the website. And they're broken into many, many different verticals, many different industry types. Everyone is different, they're unique, and they are well received. Even I myself, and I have my own database of not only clients I work with every week, but clients that I'd like to work with. And so I'm always communicating with them, and I have my own set of Maven articles that I use when I send emails to restoration contractors. My own Maven articles. And oddly enough, they are well received, and many of them I've been doing for years to the same people. And month after month, when I send those Maven articles out, a different one every time, I get email responses back saying, wow, awesome, brilliant, great, good info. It's a touch, and it's a valuable touch. Maven articles should be taken advantage of by you every single email, every single visit to your clients. Folks, everything that I've said on last month on the part one of being different and today in part two is about you controlling the script. As a marketer and a salesperson, it's very, very important that you be in control. And by you controlling the script, asking the right questions, knowing the right pain points to talk about early on in the conversation, enables you to control the script, enables you to build credibility, and the client does not feel like you're controlling the script. They just feel like they're answering good questions. So get in the habit of implementing these different ideas that I've brought to you in differentiation part one, and then today in differentiation part two. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for listening. I'm Dick Wagner. Talk to you all soon. Bye bye.